Hello and welcome to Inside the Memorial. My name's Maria Miller, your host for today. I'm the president and CEO here at the War Memorial in Grosse Pointe Farms. We are enjoying the wonderful sunlight here on Lake St. Clair. We're on the historic estate of Russell Elger Jr. and his wife Marion. We're in their dining room. And for those who are listening for the first time and are not familiar with our space, we really do it all here. We're a cultural event space. We have a lot of fun learning activities here, as well as concerts, art, and we have veteran-focused activities for those who have served, and we honor our veterans here. And we are anchored by a 114-year-old mansion, again, of which we are in the dining room of. So today's going to be a little different. I'm here with a couple guests who actually some would say are competitors of the War Memorial, and I'd like to think of them as good friends. We have Mark Heppner, president of the Ford, Etzel and Eleanor Ford House, and Jamie Ray Turnbull from the executive director of the Schaap Center. And we are in the center of both of these fantastic institutions. So welcome, Mark. Welcome, Jamie.
Good morning.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
So I wanted to kind of start off, if each of you could give, if Jamie, you want to kick it off and give a little background, and how did you land with the gig? And did I get your title right as executive director?
Yes,
okay, all right.
executive director.
Kind of heading the show over there. So,
yes, proudly.
So what brought you there? How did that happen, and how long have you been serving?
So I've been a community member since 2014, and I have a really unique background in nonprofit management and consulting. And in 2020, I received a call from a dear friend of all of ours, Bob Burry, and he said there is this remarkable project in the park that's called the Schaap Center in Manugian Gallery, and I think they need your help. They're working through some...
That sounds like Bob.
It sounds like Bob. He's a great connector and certainly an advocate for the arts and community organizations. And he wanted to make sure that the next steps of the Schaap Center were handled appropriately as they were working toward getting their approvals with the Planning Commission with Grosse Pointe Park, as well as some negotiations with the city of Detroit. And so at that time, I have had a very successful consulting business, and COVID had just hit, and this was in the beginning of the summer of 2020. And so my event business had slowed way down to a dead halt. And so I thought, what an incredible opportunity. Here's this project at the end of my street. I'm a proud resident of Grosse Pointe Park, and I'm a huge supporter of the arts, and thought this is something that could be really a remarkable opportunity. So I jumped in with both feet. Probably should have read a couple of Facebook pages prior, but chose maybe this path of just going in and saying, hey, I'm here to help to do what I can do. And so it's been a little over 4 years, and we've made great progress, but over the time, my role has shifted from consultant to interim executive director, and now executive director through the opening. So that is my goal, is to get everything successfully opened and put together a team that will take it to the next level.
That's amazing. That is amazing. Jumped in with both feet.
Yes.
Didn't read too much behind didn't look at the fine print,
right.
Did you?
I did not. Didn't check out an old city council meeting or anything like that.
And no, why?
And
Sometimes that's better.
Yep,
I think so. I think so. You were meant to be where you are.
Thank
Mark,
you.
how about you?
Yeah, my story, I'm, first of all, thanks for having us. This is great too. And
It's
Jamie, it's
fun.
always great to see you. I'm one of those, I don't know if it's rare, but I actually studied history, loved history, my undergraduate and graduate work, and actually found a job in it. So that's actually kind of nice. So there's the lesson. You can get jobs in your field and
Yes.
the things you're passionate about. And, I was reflecting the other day just about this. I've been doing historic estates for 30 some years, and it's one of those things that the job has just kind of led to another job to another job. I'm not from Michigan. I'm not from Grosse Pointe, so I'm one of those transplants. And I love that, though, because it gives me, I think, a different perspective and appreciation of the traditions and what makes this community so special, but also understand that, all communities are changing. And so I've been involved with, previously I was running a historic property in Iowa. I'm originally from Ohio, so don't use that. I am a Buckeye fan. I know it's never thought I'd be in Michigan, but here I am.
We won't hold it against you.
Most people don't, but some probably do. I was actually recruited by my predecessor, Kathleen Mullins, who some many folks in the community know. And she was the president and CEO of Ford House at the time. And the main reason I came, which I probably shouldn't say this out loud so my board hears, but it was not about Ford House. It was really, at that time, we took ownership of Henry and Claire's estate in Dearborn, Fairlane. And it was that project that really enticed me to come to Michigan, move the family. And since that time, that was over 12 years ago. And then about 4.5 years ago, thereabouts, a little more than that, Kathleen had retired. And the board had approached me if I would be interested in taking on the position of president and CEO. And obviously, extremely honored. But it was also at this unique, you talked about COVID, we were just in the midst of building brand new buildings, and they had this vision that we had, a lot of challenges, a lot of unknowns. And here I sit today, and it's just been tremendous. It's an honor to be involved there. And what I am excited about is that so many people I talked to, like, oh, I know Ford House. Oh, it's that hidden jewel. Oh, it's so beautiful over there. And I love that as a challenge because a hidden jewel is not a good thing.
I know.
It truly isn't. And
let it out
and
and
shine.
shine.
It is all those things. And really, you take this as a personal challenge to make everybody should know about this place. And being very involved nationally in the museum field, I was even amazed how few colleagues nationally have even heard of Ford House. So our goal has been to really transform physically, but also our cultural transformation. And I think that's what I've been having the most fun in, just seeing the increased engagement, the programming, quite frankly, just the love of the community supporting it. And it's just been wonderful.
Oh my goodness. I mean, that is a challenge, but because I feel the same way. We've always been known as like this little hidden gem, this little hidden jewel. And okay, I mean, that only will get you so far. And as a 501c3, we rely on donations, but you know, everybody's giving to the same resource or the same, folks. So it's like, well, we need to probably expand a little bit, get more people familiar with us.
It's a fun challenge.
But it's a fun challenge. And especially when you're offering good programming and you're doing great things. So, it's interesting because, so my predecessor, Charles Burke, had recruited me as the CFO. And so I came on board, gosh, it's been two and a half years now. So I'm still kind of a newbie. March of 22. And I have more of a finance background in healthcare. And so still nonprofit, but definitely different. And I was just very ready for that to be done and over. And I decided, everything that this mission is all about, serving and honoring our veterans, enriching the community with cultural and educational programs, and really just delivering these amazing experiences. Yeah, okay, I can do that. Goodbye, healthcare.
Right. And you're doing a great job of it.
Thank you so much. And within 9 months later, he found a wonderful opportunity that I think he always was looking forward to out in Grand Rapids, and kind of left it like, here you go. So served as interim for a while. And then, I think during COVID, we also had, much like you at the Ford House, the build was happening. And so, the new banquet hall opened in November of 22. So then it's best, and by the way, we've got to get this, amazing 30-foot sculpture from France over here. And that was already in the works. So there were a lot of things that were already in the works that you just kind of, you just figure it out. Drinking from the proverbial fire hose is really what it was. And so now that things have settled, the dust has settled, and the team is I think, very cohesive. It's an amazing team, and I think you have an amazing team, and you're going to have an amazing team, and I think just by being great leaders that you are. But I'm very proud of what they have done, and now we're kind of ready for, so we're ready for what's next. Let's just keep going. So I think, I guess with the what's next, if we can go back in time just a few weeks, because you had, there was stories in the paper about the lawsuit and everything is behind you, right? You guys are able to shed all that and move forward. Is it anything you can talk about?
Yes. Great news that our case with Wayne County Drain Commission has been dismissed, which actually didn't slow up our project, which was remarkable,
Yes.
considering some of the challenges that we've had along the way. We've had a great project team that has been able to navigate the situation with Wayne County, move forward. There have been some conditions that are being met now, and we are on target for our opening in fall of 2025,
Wow.
which is really exciting.
Seems so far away, but yet it's around the corner.
It's going to be a blink of an eye.
It's a blink of the eye, and we are absolutely in the planning phase now, and having that obstacle behind us is really helping us. Our number one goal right now is fundraising. So we're heading toward our $45 million goal for our capital campaign, of which we are over $40 million. All that comes from just about 100 donors that are all over Southeast Michigan.
Wow.
And some significant donors with Dr. Schaap and his wife, Carol Schaap, who have made the remarkable lead gift, and throughout this time has not wavered in support. Even as costs rose and challenges became more challenging, the donors like the Scaaps and the Manugians and so many others that support the Grosse Pointe Theater continued to step up and even give more as we get closer to our goal. So we feel very confident we'll reach our campaign goal, and then our endowment goal of $10 million. We're just over $6 million toward that. So that's our number one focus right now.
Right.
There's a separate team working on the construction, so I'm able to stay laser focused on our fundraising and activating the building with remarkable program partners. So I think you are all aware that the Grosse Pointe Theater will be permanent tenants at the Schaap Center, as well as the Grosse Pointe Symphony Orchestra and the Detroit Concert Choir. And then we have many other program partners throughout Southeast Michigan that are going to partner with us throughout the year. So very exciting, and that is where we're spending the majority of our time, getting through those details because they're planning for their season.
Oh my goodness, yeah, they are. Well, and it's interesting being at the War Memorial, and I feel, and again, how appropriate that we're nestled between both of your organizations, because you've got the event lane, the lane of events and programming, and we do that. You've got you also have events, but you have the historic house, and we have that too. And then, we've got the veterans in terms of, what we want to do to support them. So how do we play in the same sandbox nicely together? And I think we do and are.
I think we complement each other, quite honestly, because there is a thought out there that the Schaap Center is going to be a rental facility, of which we're not. We are truly a community theater and exhibition space, and that's it. We're not going to be competing with your educational programs because that's not something that is in our strategic plan. We want to complement what the War Memorial and the Ford House is doing. And so I think that makes it very easy for us to really stay mission focused with providing a remarkable venue for community performing and visual arts organizations.
Well, it's interesting because you had mentioned about this concept of competition. And I remember even when you guys were going through the new building, I would have people mention to me, it's like, well, Mark, what do you think about, their new structure, and it's a competition, and again, I've been in this field for a long time, and there are a lot of communities where arts and cultural leaders, although they say and smile and say all the right stuff, there is competition.
Right,
Typically,
right.
it's about for donors, but it's audience and it's attendance and all those things. And it's interesting. Well, I've never looked at anybody as competition. It's like, and I'm genuine when I say this. It's about, I love the challenge, and if I see something that you all do and that's like inspires, we talk internally. It's like, okay, they're doing this. Is there something to learn from this, or what can we do better? I think again, play off each other very well. We have some crossover for sure. But I think innately they are three very different organizations, and their missions and their focus, and the fact that we have three phenomenal organizations in this community, I don't know if everybody appreciates that too, of their national caliber. And so when I look at it, it's like, I love the fact of us just sitting here talking, and we are all friends too. So we're not just saying that, it's
Right.
And I think that's the difference, because when you go out there and it is that competitive field, it trickles down from top to the bottom. And even your teams are, looking at it as competition. And it's like, okay, how do we enhance? So one of the great things, and I'm grateful, at Ford House, we don't do weddings. We're not a wedding venue. And Marie and I have talked about this. So when we get a phone call, we're very happy to push them over to the War Memorial, to the Yacht Club, or whomever.
And we will do the same.
I'm sure you both do. We're happy to do that.
And we look, with the theater, but we've been working with them, especially this past year too, building those relationships just to be another asset to them, another tool in their toolbox. And same with the War Memorial. I mean, Maria, since you've been in place, I mean, we're having these cross meetings with our teams, just talking about everything from, membership to HR to events to facilities to conservation restoration. Right. And that to me is really so beautiful, because you have I don't like that word expertise, but you have experience in your teams and resources and things that maybe we don't have, and so let's take advantage of that, and vice versa. So I love it. I really do. And when people compare it to like the War Memorial, it's like, yeah, no, we're different.
We're different, yeah. And you hit it too, because our teams do collaborate right now. So I mean, HR will maybe reach over and, hey, how do you handle such and such a situation? And just trying to get a little bit of research, or whatever facilities and things like that. And your campus is far larger. We're only on 5 acres, but 5 acres, it's just could use a little more parking. Anybody want to give us some parking? We'll take some parking. Yeah, I said we're going to get a barge out in the water and just load them up.
Park on water.
Park somewhere. But so I think that's fantastic, and it's one thing, because I've reached out to you. I've reached out to Jamie for, hey, help me out with this situation. So you both have been very, very instrumental and supportive, and I hope I could be the same.
Mm-hmm.
So. It has been to me in this position, and working with both of you, and just the discussions over a cultural coalition of sorts, and the ability to really look at our organizations as 3 unique but collaborative institutions with such great reputations really will help not only the Points, but the East Side, Detroit, Macomb County, to draw people that wouldn't normally come to Grosse Pointe. Now, if we continue to do the great work and getting the exposure for our organizations, we will become more of a destination as a destination individually, and then also as a collaborative effort.
Right.
And I think we see that. We've talked a little bit about how Jefferson could have this opportunity of a rebrand even further into Detroit with what is happening in Jeff Chalmers and the incredible cultural institutions like the Plavik Pottery and Players Club, and now the Shepherd, which is just remarkable. So along the way, I think we're going to be able to make even a bigger impact for the region.
You are absolutely right. I just actually got kind of goosebumps thinking about how incredible that is, from how far down, into Detroit. It can go all the way up, and we can create this corridor, and we should be singing about it and dancing on the rooftops, because it is pretty cool. And the community is, I think they recognize it, but do they really? I mean, I hope they really appreciate what we have.
I think, I think that's a fair question too. And I think more and more, as we in particular also support each other's organizations that are happening, and all the great amenities in this community and beyond, those partnerships, it is informing the community more and more, because it's all about excitement. It's about positive energy. The other thing that I just want to go back from a selfish thing, one of the things, and I kind of pulled the curtain back for folks, is, when you're in these roles, head of these cultural organization stuff, it's not all glitz and glamour, and it's very. I have a CEO roundtable group that I talk with nationally with historic homes, and we talk a lot about it's lonely at the top, and you hear that, and you can sit there and whatever, but again, having colleagues within the community, because quite frankly, the challenges that the War Memorial has, and the challenges that you have, the challenge that we have, yes, there's some that are different, but a lot of them are the same. And having colleagues that you can trust and have conversations with, candid, transparent conversations, is invaluable too. So that's why when I look at both of you and others, it is so wonderful to have that in this community.
I mean, absolutely.
The same way.
And I had learned recently within this past year that Marion Elger is the one who donated the home to the Grosse Pointe War Memorial Association, the newly formed at the time. But before that, it served as an adjunct art center to the DIA for 12 years. And who had helped broker that deal was Etzel. And so the community was really pretty tight back then and helped each other out. I mean, and they had to be somewhat competitors, Etzel. And, you got the Fords and the Packards and, because obviously Russell Elger Jr. was vice president of Packard and Packard Motor and was very instrumental in bringing the brothers from Ohio up here and, starting the plant here. So
you make a good point because art brings people together.
Yes.
Regardless.
Yes.
And
then
in the end.
In the end, that's what it's all about.
Well, all of us, we can talk about these legacies. There's legacies that these organizations represent. And of course, now you have there are existing legacies, but these, these families that are supporting this, they have their own legacies. And it's about, of the importance of community. It's about being of service. It's about philanthropy from a really high level financially, but it's also philanthropy, just doing, the generosity of an Eleanor Ford or Elgers, that these, for the betterment of the community. And not everybody has that mindset all the time. So I think there's, it's the good work that we do in the missions, but I love these other core values that we all have, which is about philanthropy and it's about equity and it's about, love of community, love of organizations and the people that work there and that support that. And also, I know we're a little stoic today, but if you see us together, this playfulness that, this is fun and what we do is really damn awesome.
Yeah, it is.
And we enjoy interactions with each other in our organizations, which is also shouldn't be lost.
Yeah, and it shouldn't be lost, and it won't be lost. We'll make sure it stays alive. Well, one thing that keeps coming to my little brain here as we're having these conversations, and I think Carol Schaap would have been very much instrumental with regards to the whole performing arts, and that was her love, correct, if I'm not mistaken. And then I think about Eleanor Ford setting up a foundation and making sure her home was preserved and
not a drain on the community.
And not a drain on the community. Amazing. We don't quite have, that foresight wasn't necessarily in there, but when Marion did the same thing, she was very philanthropic in the neighborhood. She started the library and hospitals and the neighborhood thrift store. All kinds of things. And then here's my home. You wonder if, no offense, Mark, if the men would have done the same thing. Would they have given their home? I don't know. Maybe not. But yeah.
And no offense taken, as you know of me. No, and I wonder that as well too. For sure. I'm not sure.
Yeah, the women, and isn't it even the same at Meadowbrook? I believe she left the home.
Yep.
To the
very
community.
Selfless.
Yeah, just here and exactly. Here's
Selfless
my home. So it's kind of an interesting thread. And like I said, and I think of Carol in that way because from the little I know, which is not a lot, is that was this project is her passion.
This was her project, or passion project, in addition to the other commitments that they made to the arts. The Schaaps, which many don't know, were the first gift to the DIA to start the Grand Bargain.
Oh, I did not know.
I did not know that either.
That just speaks to their commitment to community and stepped up with the first $5 million donation.
Oh.
And so that, in addition to their other philanthropic initiatives at Hope College, and then they also have the Schaap Scholars at Merritt Academy, that is a wonderful charter school there on Alter and Jefferson, that they have provided 4-year scholarships for high school students to the tune of millions. And so their philanthropy runs very deep and not often recognized. Right. So I appreciate that. And I think you make a great point. These 3 women had the foresight to do some things, and I'm sure that they had the support of others to make it happen. But that is a really, really well way to state it.
Yeah. Yeah. So look at us.
I was just going to say, so I'm going to go now.
Not at all.
No, but it is amazing. And that is a beautiful tie. Me personally, I've been so inspired by Eleanor. And for those that don't know too, is that our board of trustees are all members of the Ford family, predominantly female, but still very diverse. And they represent still this community, but their whole goal is to continue this legacy of Eleanor. So it's not, it could be so many different things, but they're just still about the generosity of this one person, granny or their, great granny. And, but this, to really bring honor to that still today. And I know in their own way, they're all so, and I like how you said this too, the Fords in many ways too, they are so supportive of this community and beyond, but it's not about the recognition. It's not about the accolade. It's just what you do.
It's just what you
It's
do.
in their DNA.
I wish I had, done this at an early age with my own family, just to show the level of volunteerism and things. I mean, I've done little things, but nothing to the extent that these great people have. Because you could still volunteer. You could still do a lot of things without having,
Absolutely.
the pocketbook either.
Sure.
So, so hopefully I could still start, and it's not too late for my
Never too
family
late.
to be a leading example. So the elephant in the room is we have a theater that is empty. And, I'd love to, we have a community that says, bring it back, bring it back. And so I'm sitting here thinking, would love to, because it's just wasting space there right now. It is no longer flooding. All the rains we've had, the mediation has taken care of it. So I go down there and look at it and say, what could it be? And unfortunately, the damage that was done with the Grosse Pointe Theater Group, and there's two sides to every story. I wasn't here. I don't know it. I just, have extended the olive branch, and really, bygones speak bygones. They're going to have a beautiful new home. But I have often thought, and as I met with one of the Grosse Pointe Theater vice chair, or he's on the board, and kind of talked about his own background here at the War Memorial and being on stage and kind of talking about the early performances. Yeah, a lot of history. And he could still see that there could be a purpose for the theater group to come and do some live performances. So I would love to bring it back. I don't want it to clash with the Schaap Center. I'd love it to be something that just fits. And cinema, people aren't necessarily going to the cinemas. I'm waiting for things to come on TV or just, online so I can stream. Some things are far better to watch on the big screen. But I'm grappling with what could it be, what could we do. The team comes up with ideas, and we've come up with a bowling alley and some other things that aren't necessarily the worst ideas, but you could do something very different, but still a space.
Well, and I think the Grosse Pointe Theater and the team, a 100% volunteer organization with the exception of executive director, they're so creative, and they're such an incredible part of the community. I am certain between leaders there that they could come up with a way to, how do they say, dance at both parties without offending the one that brought you to the dance.
I love that. Yeah, I love that. Well, and we'll be much smaller. You have
Right.
420 some seats.
I still think that there is, something about this youth movement into the theater, and hoping that we can get a younger audience to come and enjoy theater, and that might just be through getting kids more involved, and that might be a good start.
Yeah, a good angle to it. I will tell you, the Grosse Pointe Theater Group is incredible. They
They're
are
remarkable.
Talented. For community theater, you think,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
They're at another level. So
They
very,
are.
very proud
I would
of what they
agree
do.
with you. I had kind of a bias just coming into the community here. Again, to your point, community theater, and I've been in a lot of small communities and larger ones. And the quality, it differs. But I remember one of the first times I saw them was actually at a Grosse Pointe Chamber event, and I was just blown away. And I was just like, wow. And we've partnered with them for quite a long time, but they kind of went a hiatus. And this past year with Strolling Shakespeare partnership that we did.
Huge hit.
Well, it was a huge hit. And what was great about that, we weren't just trying to do Shakespeare. It wasn't just to try to, we got to do something. It was thoughtful, and it took advantage of our assets, which was the landscape and the gardens, these unique settings, and their assets, which was great theater. And it really worked out. And it was one of those things, to your point of thinking about the theater, you just don't want to do what everybody else is doing. It's like,
Right.
Let's think about what is different, what we can do that serves their mission purpose, but yours as well, and that would just be different,
Right.
versus just the same old, same old.
Yeah. So can you talk to us a little
Sure.
bit about, I didn't make it there for any of the Shakespeare.
Yeah, I meant to talk to you about that.
Sorry.
No, it really was, and I could take zero credit. I wasn't involved in it, but there was really a partnership with some of our leadership team and their leadership, and they started talking about Shakespeare. I think just because with Tudor revival, the backdrop, it fuels that. And every historic estate that I've worked with has had Shakespeare. It's just what you do, apparently. And so it really started organically, and kind of just started rolling. And they would come to me, that being the team that I work with, and have these ideas. I go, I don't even want to know. I want to be surprised too. Whatever you guys deemed. I mean, to the point where they did a Romeo and Juliet scene. So they're a snippet of different Shakespeare scenes in different locations. And you stroll throughout the estate and you catch part of it. You can wait, you can go through the whole thing, then move on to the next one. There was no real order that you had to go in. But in our apple court, which is up by the main house, there's actually, some of the team call it the Juliet balcony. It's a balcony off the master bedroom. And I was even amazed. This is how cool my team is, and how much they just step back from being non-traditional. Usually curators and historic preservators, you can't use that. That's historic. Nobody's out there, and we don't want actors in the house and having it access it through the bedroom. And they all came together and said, no, this is really unique and cool. And so they did a scene of Romeo and Juliet in the courtyard.
Oh, nice.
So that's one of the examples. And it was just, like I said, it was a unique space, casual, So again, Shakespeare, depending upon the setting and stuff, can be very, you really have to pay attention and really, and it was whimsical and fun.
Interactive. Right?
Yeah, and interactive. Exactly right. So I just think that's a good example of a community, two organizations that doesn't matter who they are, just looking at, this is what we do really well. This is what we have. Is there something that makes sense? And if it doesn't make sense, that's absolutely fine too. And I think we continue to explore those, and we will continue as partners as well.
That one made sense.
Yeah.
Great job.
Yeah, very
Team.
great job. I wish I was there.
Yeah,
right.
I just said.
Did they come to you with that, or was that?
I believe
Not
it's
sure,
a
'cause
mutual
that was
thing.
it, yeah.
So this would be my pledge to the Grosse Pointe Chamber. Some know that I'm currently the chair of the board, and we host so many networking events. And again, the chamber is also in this position of looking at a community that has these phenomenal traditions and settings, but also is changing. And how do you continue to change to meet the needs of a community, especially for businesses? So these networking events, and because of those, a lot of my team has been interacting and running into, and every time there's just conversations.
Yep.
Exactly. So I'm not sure. I would love to say it was our idea, but I'm sure it probably came from
a good conversation.
A good conversation.
Let's just
Right?
say it was
That's
mutually,
more
yes.
conversations lead to better ideas.
That's right.
I love that.
And that's a big
I
part
love
of it, is just being willing to have the conversations, because you never know where they lead.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we all have challenges, and we've talked a little bit about some of them. I know for me, one of the largest challenges that I have is that I'm not so sure people see us as a true 501c3 that is in need of donations and in need of building the endowment. I came on to the organization, and there's considerable debt, and kind of working through that, and we still have an endowment, we're still paying bills, it's still good, but the weddings in and of themselves, and I think that there was this perception that the War Memorial is flush with cash. Oh, you got money over there, and well, let me tell you, we spent that and then some, and then the weddings, you can only do so much. There's capacity. You can only have so many weddings in a year, and people aren't doing 500-person weddings. Typically, they're about 170 to 180-person weddings. But even regardless of the weddings and the events and the chef dinners and all the other things that we do, it covers more or less operational expenses. We've got a leaky roof. We've got water infiltrating in the basement. We've got masonry problems throughout the campus. This room could use some care. And, so as caretakers and stewards, we rely on donations. And so kind of getting that word out, I would say, would be one of my biggest challenges, that donations are probably 10% of our revenue. And it really should be a lot higher than that. We really do need to grow the whole philanthropy, be it grants and sponsorships and all that kind of thing. So what would you say some of your challenges are?
Can I jump in that first? Because it's
sure.
probably more related to your challenges. I think those, this probably also is going to be for you too. I think one of the misconceptions, especially these historic estates, because the fact of the matter, they're grand.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't grow up in a house like this. So when you come here and you're blown away by the detail, the building materials, and the ostentatiousness of it, and the absolute beauty of it. So there's just inclination mentally, like, oh, this is wealth. Therefore, the wealth is associated with it. Even at Ford House, you go there, and certainly with the Ford's legacy and story, and with the endowment that, thank gosh, Eleanor had the foresight to leave back in 1976, that has grown. There's still this perception, though, is that we're in need of nothing. And what people don't realize, number one, this isn't funded by the family. It's not funded by Ford Motor Company. It's not funded by the Detroit Lions. Everybody, we get that sometimes. It's like, oh, you have all that. We, as well as a 501c3, work very hard to balance our reliance on the endowment, which is critical for any nonprofit, in my personal opinion, with earned revenue and for sponsorship for events. We don't fundraise in the traditional sense, but we do raise for to support programs. We do this wonderful holiday Home for the Holiday event that's coming up. And anybody that knows it, which is the investment of lights and experientials and all that, there's no way that can be covered by just people coming.
Right.
And so to be able to make that profitable and not to be in a hole and to give that to the community, it needs support. And so we're continually trying to educate people the same way. So we have these perceptions, which is really hard. And a lot of us have this type of conversation, but it's also educating people. And I think the other big part is why you're both on a phenomenal track. This is my personal opinion. You give to organizations, like when you invest money individually, like in your own investments, you don't put it into a stock that is failing, right? I mean, who does that? You want to, there's no guarantees. Yep. You want a winner though. And so you give to winners, you support winners. And I think by doing the work that you do and getting the word out there and showing that this investment that you're giving is that we're being good stewards of it. We're making sure that, we're not coming back to every 5 days, and that we're leveraging the endowment. So eventually that endowment gets to the point where we can relax a little bit off that, but really focus on earned revenue in different ways too. So I think that's part of it, is just proving that, we're all winners and that this is a smart investment.
And deserving of donor dollars.
Right.
As far as challenges, I sit in the same position as you with, knowing that we have to reach our endowment goal. We have remarkable donations from lead gifts, but the assumption that that's going to take care of everything and that we won't need to raise annual operating expenses in addition to what we get from the endowment is going to be an ongoing an initiative for us. It's really going to be a lot of work, and we know that. We're also fortunate that the Schaaps have agreed for the first 3 years to support the operating budget with $500,000 each year. Because when we talk about some of the myths and misinformation out there, the Schaap Center does not take any resources from the municipality. So the city of Grosse Pointe Park does not support the Art Center with any operational expenses whatsoever. So it's 100% reliant on philanthropy. And that has been in the business plan since I joined the team.
Yeah. So one of the things when you were talking about kind of the positioning of everything too, and strategically to ensure that support's there for the future, it reminded me of something that I was just talking to a colleague of mine the other day. And I think one of the challenges that we all have, and I believe pretty much all arts and culture organizations have, is there's very few people that you're running this community. If I talked about Ford House or War Memorial Shop Center, that wouldn't say, oh, that's really nice, oh, that's beautiful, or I enjoy that. And that's all wonderful, but at the end of the day, would they miss if it wasn't here? And so the real challenge, I think, for all of us is how do you turn nice, because everybody would say these are nice amenities, to be necessary. So that nice and necessary, I think, is always the biggest challenge. And it's our job, the three of us, continually is to prove to the community that this is necessary.
It's necessary.
If it wasn't here, you would be missing X, Y, or Z from this community, quality of life, engagement, whatever that is, social identity. And I think, that it's an ongoing thing that drives me, because it's very easy to take it for advantage and just kind of sit back and maintain. But it's like, no, we constantly have to reinvent ourselves to show this community and the greater communities that these are necessary parts of who we are.
We are relevant.
We're relevant. It's oxygen.
Yep.
We are your oxygen.
That's right.
What are your favorite things to do? Favorite thing about your job? Maybe we can even start there.
I think probably working with the program partners has been the most exciting part and enjoyable part, because these are all organizations doing such great work, and knowing that they're going to finally have a proper place to exhibit their works or to perform in state of the art, and also the location. I really think that being able to have this type of an amenity that's accessible to all is going to allow people from all over to enjoy something that they might not otherwise have the opportunity to enjoy, and at an affordable price, because again, ticket prices are $30 to $40, and it's very cheap. It's very, 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 very affordable, and that's our goal. We want affordability, inclusivity, and we want to reach a wide net. We want to cast a wide net.
And I think that area too is becoming more beautified. And as your center is up, it's like any real estate, right? You see it with Halloween. The first thing that pops in my head is Halloween, because neighbors decorating. I gotta top that.
Yeah. Right. Yep.
Neighbor's yard looks really nice. I got to top that.
Yep.
The corner of your little corner there.
Yes, and I've enjoyed. There have been some projects that we as an organization have embraced. The Motor City Makeover, where we do clean up along Alter every year, and have really enjoyed getting to know the neighbors along the border. I've done a lot of work with the City of Grosse Pointe Park and community organizations to help open dialogue, and how can we be better neighbors to the City of Grosse Pointe Park, to the City of Detroit and Jefferson East. And they're doing great work at Jefferson East, and we want to support that work. So that's another component, as being a park resident and wanting to see Jefferson Chalmers thrive again.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it in my lifetime. I'd like to see it in my lifetime.
Too. Yeah, hit me up. I'll help you when you do your volunteer day.
That'd be great.
I've done the Morass Greenway project, and when I drive by there, I want to stop and pick up. Like, oh no, got to get back out there.
Right?
I see litter.
It's a great way to get involved, and it's very organized. And what I've seen since I started in 2020 are the neighbors see that people are really paying attention, and there's more pride in their homes now.
Yes,
and
it spreads.
So it does spread.
It spreads.
It's a catalyst.
Yeah.
It's a catalyst.
Yes.
How about Mark's favorite thing?
Great question. And again, this may sound cheesy and but I just love that I get paid to do what I do. And I love the fact that Ford House, just like any organization, we have challenges here and there, and days where you're just like, actually I shouldn't say that. There hasn't been a day in my whole career that I haven't wanted to go to work. I'm appreciative. And then I look at just physically the tremendous assets there, the legacy, the story, the architecture, the gardens. There's just so
nature.
much. Truly, and
spectacular.
It's like,
I know. I love it every time I go there.
I was telling somebody just the other day, because they asked me a similar question, and in the team that I get to work with, and the family, this board, I've never had a board that's been just so supportive and wonderful. And I'm not just saying that because we're talking. I mean that. And what really excites me is that we have just scratched the surface of who we're going to be. And I told him, it's like, we're not even at the top of the peak yet. And for those who have seen the changes, and hopefully people have enjoyed them, and I get that a lot, it's like, oh my God, this, and this. It's like, yeah, but you ain't seen nothing yet. And I think that's what drives me, keeps me going, is knowing that you never stop on your laurel. You just keep on going. There's always more to do, and more relevancy, and more community engagement, and more just exciting things. So no, the fact that I get to do what I do, every day when I go in there, I took a picture out of my office window. I don't think both of you have been in my office, but it overlooks Fort Cove, and it's a sunrise, and it's just absolutely gorgeous. And I posted it on Facebook and Instagram. It's just like, thank you, Ford House, because of that I get to have those kind of experiences.
Yes, absolutely.
fortunate.
It's the $1 million view. That's what Charles told me when I started here, and I looked out the window. It's like, oh, it is $1 million view.
It really
Yeah,
is.
absolutely.
Multi-million dollar.
No, yeah.
Now, how about you? How about you?
I think my favorite thing are the people I work with. They are so, and it just spawns creativity. And both of your points, the partners, the donors, people who care enough. Our annual gala and just seeing people giving generously because they love this place, it just warmed my heart. So it's like, oh my gosh, you people, I love you. Everybody's just so,
it's humbling.
It's so humbling.
Yeah.
And the partner groups that we have, meeting great folks like you guys, and like I said, and every day getting to work, even on my worst days when I don't want to come here, there's always a smile on my face to see people here. So that just
You have a
warms my
good
heart.
team. You both have great teams.
Yeah, we do.
That as a community
Very
member
fortunate.
and have enjoyed both Board House and War Memorial, you should be really proud of the team that you have put together.
Well, appreciate you saying that, because I know it doesn't come. I like to say it just all happens, but I think you, Maria, you would agree with this, though. I mean, you have to be strategic. You want to change culture, and it's got to be intentional, and that is hiring people with qualities that share visions and values. That it's not just a punch in, punch out 9-to-5 job. It's like there's times where you got to go above and beyond, and you need people that you can rely on that are going to go the extra mile, or have that creative, or go and reach out to the Grosse Pointe Theater to even have a conversation, or to be of service in their community and be on community boards or professional boards, and that represents the organization at a higher level, because it's not, as we all know, it's not one person, it's not a president and CEO, it's the organization. Nobody's ever going to look at like Ford and say, oh my gosh, they're doing wonderful things, only because of Mark Heppner. They're right, in spite of Mark Heppner. No, because it's that collective in who they may know may not be me. It may be someone else that they had that beautiful interaction with. And I think that's what's really cool.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. It has been so much fun chatting with you both today.
Do
I could
this
go
all
on
I know, I was just going to
I
say,
know.
you could
I was
tell
gonna
we
say,
could keep
so
on
we
doing
have,
this.
so we have a bottle of wine sitting here as our War Memorial wine.
The
that
label's
we-
beautiful.
Isn't the label gorgeous?
It's
so it's after
beautiful.
Le Brave. I always want to say Le Brave. That's out on the back lawn there. And so we have a white from California, and we have a red as well. And
That's
our
really
bridal
neat.
couples usually get a bottle of, I think a bottle of each. I
That's
think maybe it's
really-
just one.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but we do give them that.
This has
So,
been really nice.
This has been
Really
fun. Well,
enjoyable.
tell our listeners how to catch up with you. Where can they find you on social media or
Absolutely.
website?
We have a website, schaapcenter.org, which has all of our information and links to our social media as well. And we are providing construction updates, and we're going to be putting some more updates coming in the very near future. So please stay tuned, and thank you again for hosting us today. And I'm really proud to have both of you in our community and be able to pick up the phone and call both of you whenever we
Absolutely.
need. We're really blessed.
It's been a pleasure.
Well, with us, our website is I always drive people there, fordhouse.org. Very easy, but also social media. We have a tremendous team member who she has just reimagined our social media and engaging. It's really playful and fun, and constantly, whether it's Facebook or Instagram.
That dog, I love
oh my,
that
Moss
dog.
is like
Moss is everywhere.
Moss is like that dog can never I can't retire that dog. 'Cause it's
No,
like,
Moss is
You
the
want to know
best.
anybody who's more important than Mark Heppner is Moss
It's
for
the
sure.
dog. Yeah,
Obviously.
the geese are
The War
back
Memorial
here.
needs it.
Yeah, we have
Moss.
one. We have a Josie.
They do, yeah.
Josie,
Oh, I
yes,
need to
and-
follow Josie.
Well, we were going to
yes.
have a photo shoot. I wanted, we never did it, to have the dogs come together and have a picture. And I
Okay,
meant to do that,
all
but
right.
we
Let
haven't
me
done
jot
that.
that down.
Josie, a geese dog?
Yes, the goose dog.
Goose dog.
I think it's Goose Point dog. So yeah, Goose Point Farms.
And they bring,
And
how
they-
often?
It's a lot more frequently, daily in the spring, and then it's dropped off. And now this morning I went out and said, oh, the geese are back.
Well, unfortunately, geese are getting really smarty with Moss. They know when Moss leaves. And they all come right back in.
Well, I'm writing photo with dogs. We're getting photo with dogs. So, okay, so we can find you on social media. And I just thank anybody here who has stuck around and listened to the full podcast. I appreciate your interest. And our social media is out there too. We're on LinkedIn. We're on Instagram. Just follow us on Facebook, on any of those, YouTube. And of course, always at War Memorial Appreciate your time, and thank you for being my guest today.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.